behind the top 8. With only 2 wins this season, they need to pull a rabbit out of the hat. But hang on, they've done it. And this rabbit's no bunny. Great Britain hooker Lee Jackson will take the field for Souths for the first time today. His presence alongside the one-man band, Craig Field, will give the Rabbitohs 2 class acts and opposition teams double trouble. For Western Suburbs, the magic began 6 months ago with the arrival of coach Tom Radonicus. The big improvers of 95 are now equal fifth with 6 scalps on their belt, thanks to enthusiasm, thrust, direction and speed. The question remains, though, can they hold this form for 22 rounds? The Rabbitohs versus the Magpies. So there's the scene here at the Sydney Footy Stadium. A bright sunny day, which throws those shadows across the ground, which makes coverage for television a little bit difficult. As you can see, once the players run into the shadows, it's very different lighting to the far side of the ground. Well, they're enthusiastic, hardy bunch. The South fans who are here, there hasn't been too much to cheer about this year.
No, it's been a disappointing season for South. I suppose at the start of last year we thought South Sydney might be an also-ran as well, but with about 4 or 5 games left, they were still in a chance of making the top 5. So, you know, it has been a disappointing side. They've had some injury problems, but unfortunately for South Sydney, they just haven't been able to convert any of those close games into wins, and actually, on a number of occasions, they've copped a fair belting.
Yeah, they were the Friday night specials midway through last season. I think they won 8 out of 9 matches to move into 5th place in mid-July before they fell off the pace. With a lot of changes again. They lost the likes of Terry Hermanson and a few other classy players. Brett Goldsping, Tim Horan have all gone. And here come the Rabbitohs, and the captain today, in place of Jason Sinclair, is Craig Field. Fullback Jamie Corcoran, the wingers Andrew Willett and Jason Ryan, the centre pair Tyron Smith and David Penner in jersey 16, Will Robinson at 5'8" after a few experiments at hooker, Craig Field, halfback Matthew Nable, lock forward Paul Quinn and Michael Francis, the second rowers, Dennis Beecraft, Lee Jackson and Paul Sharm, the front row.
So as we said, Warren, a lot of unknowns in there, out to make a name for himself today. Nable, Quinn, Francis and Sharn. And here come the Magpies.
And let out by their skipper Paul Langmack. And you can hear from the crowd that there's not too many West supporters here. Andrew Leeds as fullback, Paul Smith on the wing, Paul Bell and Ken McGuinness the centres, Darren Willis the other winger, Andrew Willis at 5'8", Steve Georgalis half, Paul Langmack at lock, Mark Horrow and Bill Dunn in the second row, Brent Stewart, Jerry Mesher and Glenn Grief doing a good job up front for the Magpies.
There he is, the skipper and the general of the Magpies side, Paul Langmack, in the twilight of his career, and probably safe to say that Langmack's probably playing the best football we've seen from him, well, since he probably went over to Western Suburbs about 3 or 4 years ago. Of course, he was this young star, went on the 86 Kangaroo Tour, which seems a long, long time ago now.
It's that intangible enthusiasm, isn't it? Now, the national anthem being sung by Mandy Williams from the Salvation Army. Of course, tomorrow is the Salvation Army's Red Shield appeal, door knock, and I'm sure everyone will support them all the way. Support the Salvation Army. They're hoping to raise $8 million throughout Australia from the door knock tomorrow. And Jacko, you always give generously because you never know when you're going to be on the receiving end of their generosity.
Yeah, there's the referee, Mick Lewis, Johnny Peart. Do you recognise any of those members of the Salvation Band? You got some bread and soup off them in your time?
Won't be long, Peter. I'm sure of that.
Mick Lewis, our referee. And the Magpie just dueling with the South Sydney fans there, the squad, and underway. And Andrew Leeds gets the first touch and hands it back to Bill Dunn, who cannons straight through the defence. Doesn't go too much further before Nabel gets hold of him. Now it's Langmack. And the referee is going to call out the South Sydney tackler. A swinging arm in that tackle by the look of it. Debbie Spillane, how are conditions?
Well, it's one of those clear skies days, but very cool, so it looks nice, but it's actually quite chilly. The breeze is quite strong outside from the southwest, but we don't seem to be getting much of it inside. The grandstand's protecting us, so I don't think either side will be getting any big advantage. West did win the toss, and they elected to run towards the scoreboard end.
And from that penalty, hitting it up is the big front row. Has been in very good form, Brent Stewart, but so too is his front row mate, Glenn Grief.
Oh, he's been in outstanding form, Glenn Grief, and must have been very close to getting a call-up for the Origin side when Mark Carroll did get suspended. There's the season points. South 149 for, 296 against, and Western Suburbs just ahead on the ledger, 237 for, 208 against. So Western Suburbs been in great form with the ball, although their defence hasn't been as good as I thought it may have been.
The Magpies are only 30 metres out. Here's Georgalis, throws the dummy, goes ahead, slips it away now neatly, and Paul Bell carries it forward. But looking at the for and against record, South's attack hasn't been all that flash, but they've got the worst defence in the competition at this stage. Last tackle, up high and across field, Dunn chasing, McGuinness is underneath it, taken very well by Jason Ryan for Souths.
A fantastic take by the young winger. Good bomb. Billy Dunn seemed to be there in plenty of time. There's Ken Shine and Alan Jones. I don't know who Jones you'd be listening to.
We're listening to the radio commentary there.
Maybe listen to replays of his specialist show.
Might have it plugged into us, Jacko. I don't know if you can...
He's mad if he hasn't, Warren.
So here's the Rabbits, 15 short of halfway. Dennis Beecraft. He's had a checkered career. Always looked as if he was going to be a regular first grader. Hasn't been able to consolidate in a couple of clubs. Now Leeds on the fingertips.
Hasn't done any good, Warren, since he was in the Mental League calendar.
And an amazing thing, I've just found out during the week that Souths apparently have been training on 3 occasions each week, twice a day, and the first session has been at 6:30 a.m. They have to turn up for either physio or at a swimming pool at 6:30 a.m. 3 times a week, and then back up in the afternoon when they do ball skills or ball work. It's a very demanding campaign that the coaches have got them under.
I think you'll find, Brian, a lot of clubs do that now. I mean, North Sydney, I know North Sydney players have been doing weights at North Sydney twice a week, earlier than that as well, so.
What are we talking about, 6 in the morning?
Yeah.
And Wests are up inside the 10.
And they're the Western Suburbs players, all of them offside. Mix Lewis holding his ground. Yeah, I mean, a lot of players, of course, players that hold down full-time jobs, they can't afford to come to training in the middle of the day, so they've got to get in early and do their work. There he is, Brent Stewart, big Kiwi. Been impressive this season.
You can imagine, though, a lot of the players wouldn't be too happy if you play, say, Sunday, and then 6 o'clock Monday morning, you've got to go in there for a physio checkup or for weights or whatever. I mean, the one night of the week off is Sunday night, isn't it?
We just get a cab straight from the cross.
Andrew Willett's going to attempt this penalty from 28 metres out, not far off centre field. Wests are averaging 24 points per game, South's only 15. And in defence, Souths are conceding an average of 30. It's very expensive. Now, Willett has kicked 21 out of 27 this season, 78%, so he's been hitting them well. I suppose he would like more opportunity to be kicking goals. Taking plenty of time over it. And he's hit it well. The flags are up, and Souths lead by 2 points to 0. That will give them some encouragement. All these changes in the side, a combination you wouldn't think would be really there. There's Jim Sedaris, he's down amongst the West bench. And that might be young Kevin McGuinness. He looks just like his brother Ken, doesn't he, on the bench alongside Jim Sedaris there.
They all look a little bit like Mal Meninga as a young guy too. Just quickly, I'll get a quick plug in here. Warren, the Runaway Bay Rugby League Football Club, where I started my career, are having their reunion. It'll be held on the 3rd of June at 7:30 at the Runaway Bay Football Club. If you'd like any more information, give the club a ring, or Wayne Overton a ring, who's the president. So get along there, all you Bay people. Support the old boys.
Jason Ryan for Souths. Langmack calling his defence to the open side. Away goes Jackson. And picks up a runner. Lee Jackson, the Great Britain hooker. Very impressive against the Kangaroos. Michael Francis with the ball up to halfway. Been in good form in the lower grades. And now penalty against West, not clearing away from Francis once the tackle was completed. You look at the Souths lineup, 7 changes from last week. There's Bill Dunn just hanging on a little too long, slowing them down. I think it's really only 4 or 5 changes that have been made in the Souths lineup through lack of form. Shan is back from suspension. Ryan's been injured. Of course, Jackson coming into the side. And the likes of Nabel has been in very good form, apparently, in reserve grade. Not that he's played much of it. Here's Field, is it?
Will Robinson.
Will Robinson.
Former Rookie of the Year. Balmain player.
Beecraft takes them forward. South in a good attacking position. Field on the left. Goes to him now. Quickly scoots onto the ball. Fires a pass out and bursting through is Paul Quinn. Paul Quinn scores for Souths. West defence too weak. 15 metres out from their own line, but it was a lovely crisp pass from Field, who went to the line and then shot the pass wide. He had a few choices out there. He picked out Paul Quinn, who hit the gap. It wasn't a huge gap, but he's hit it hard on the burst and straight through the tackle of Langmack, who just seemed to be in 2 minds as to who was going to receive that ball.
Well, have a look on the replay. Paul Langmack just didn't mark up on his man. He got sucked in by that runner there, but that runner was already covered by Steve Georgialis. So Paul Langmack, he'll be disappointed with that. A very good defender. We'll get a better look at it from the wide shot. Craig Field drifts across field. There's the dummy runner who sucked Paul Langmack in just that half a metre or so, and a great run by Quinn to hit that hole at pace, and a good try to the Rabbits, and a good start. Craig Field, the maestro out there for the Rabbits.
Paul Quinn, 23 years old, an Australian schoolboy back in 1990. He played for Parramatta and then joined Penrith in 93, and now with the Rabbitohs. And he was the man of the match last week, the player's player. Now, Andrew Willett kicked his first shot. This is more difficult, only 8 metres in from touch. Great start for Souths. And this could make it an even better start. The flags are up. And the Rabbitohs score the first try of the match and lead 8 points to 0.
Yeah, well, they're just running on the back of a fair bit of possession at the moment, appreciating the penalties. That was a lovely ball, but good hole running by Quinn. He did get outside Langmack, but Lee Jackson's very impressive. That's a vital position to fill in a new club, his first game. And I'll tell you what, he's had plenty of ball to do it with, and he's fitting in nicely. Yeah,
he seems very enthusiastic and not scared to say his bit, Pete. He seems to be talking pretty well for a bloke that's new to a club. He's certainly not an introvert.
I think they'd be battling with the accent. West, 5 errors already. Now Quinn has another go at it. The New South Wales manager and coach, Jeff Carr and Phil Gould.
Well, I'm sure South's biggest downfall has been, particularly this season, has been just lack of controlling the ball up to the 6th tackle. Today, they're getting plenty of practice. They're keeping the ball in outstanding condition.
Michael Francis running the inside angle, finds Robinson over halfway. Last tackle coming up now. Jackson to Field. And Field's kick may find touch. Leeds is in no hurry to attack the ball, and does. Johnny, you're talking about Lee Jackson. You just look at a bloke who's got class and you can just see it immediately. There's just something about the way he moves in there at dummy half, isn't there?
Certainly. You can go down the local park and see that too, Warren. They just stand out amongst the rest.
I mean, some players don't look all that
They're above the rest.
classy, but they just have a go, and their work rate carries them. But other players just look talented. Mind you, some of them don't have a go, and they drop off. Georgalis out to Willis. Almost takes them with him. Quinn made the tackle, breaking from the scrum. Mesha plays it back. Now it's Horro. And time in possession well and truly favouring Souths.
And as you'd expect, the meters favouring South as well. But they've really got to be tough here on themselves, South Sydney. They need to hold West out, not just fold. They need to hold West out, make them work for their tries, work for field position.
It's very good defence there by Nable and also Beecraft, driving him back. Last tackle, up it goes, hooking it back to the blind side. Willis is there to challenge. He looked like he knocked it forward, and Ryan has it for Souths.
Jason Ryan, number 5 for South Sydney. He seems to be the target of their kicks today. That's 2 bombs. Both have been out to him.
Souths on their own 20. This is where Wests have to defend and try and knock Souths out of rhythm. They're a confidence team. Willett took that pass and held on well as Paul Smith came in hard on him. A hospital pass from field. Now Quinn. Jackson picks up Nable. Nable, a former Manly lower grader.
That's a top run too, just quietly.
Field. Easily runs away from Dunn. Kicks down to Leeds. On his own 10, coming up to the 20. Plenty of chases, and Field, the kicker, makes the tackle. Well, he's a terrier, Craig Field, but he really will benefit from having someone else in Jackson to take the focus away. Opposition teams know that they can just keep Field quiet. Well, they've done most of the job of keeping Souths quiet. It's not going to be so easy from now on. Grief. Well tackled. Beecraft was low. Beecraft leading the tackles early in the game for Souths. Stewart shrugs off a couple. Falls to the ground. Leeds. Chased by Robinson. Evades him. Could pass. Does pass. Smith now. Up to the 40. Kicks ahead. It came off Willett's hand. All the West players are onside, and a chase down there. Jamie Corcoran. All sorts of trouble, and Ken McGuinness will score for Wests. Well, Leeds decided to run it. Smith put the kick ahead. It didn't look as if it was going to really worry the fullback. Corcoran, all of a sudden, comes up with the error, and West score a gift try, and hit back went up to date. It's really been all Souths. Here it was. Leeds was chased by Robinson. Having skirted away from him, no South players had come up on the blind side. That gave Smith an extra 20. Kick bouncing away, all the players were onside after it was touched, and Corcoran loses the ball. Anyone could have picked it up. I think it was Langmack there to scoop it up and give it to Ken McGuinness. The easiest try he'll score.
Oh, what a gift try. Great work by Andrew Leeds. I think this plays on a lot more often than teams take advantage of it. Running the ball on the 5th tackle. There's the kick, ricocheted. As you said, Jamie Corcoran picks it up, looks set to take the tackle, and I think it was Willis came in and accidentally knocked the ball loose, and Paul Langmack said, thank you very much. Kenny McGuinness says, I'll take that. And just a soft 4-pointer, and something South Sydney did need. Andrew Leeds.
80%.
Mr. 80% puts it straight through.
So West's hitting back thanks to a mistake from South, and you just said that South had to keep their game nice and tight. 8-6 in favour of Souths.
See number 6 for South, Will Robinson, but there's no chase up the left-hand side, and Leeds is good enough. He's a good player. I see that kick. That kick was meant for the right-hand corner by Smith. Got a deflection. Oh, gee, and I just saw Craig Field as McGuinness went over. Very disappointed, because up till this period, they have done everything right, South Sydney.
I think mistakes like that are put into the category of coach killers.
Absolutely. Unforced errors. Ken McGuinness, the try scorer, West Rookie of the Year last season, has big raps on him, clearly has the ability, but he's already received a bit of a caution this week from his, this year from his club. Just a little bit of ill discipline, not turning up for training. I think it was on time and was relegated, but he's learned his lesson by all accounts. Up to halfway now with Wests. West through Horro, might realise that there is a game on today and that they are going to have to play hard to win it. Kick here, Corcoran under pressure. Must have a few things going through his mind. He takes it well. Tackle by Leeds, and Leeds has hung on. That was unnecessary from Andrew Leeds. All the defence was set.
It's funny, Warren, had Will Robinson not chased, there's this incident now, but had Will Robinson not chased Leeds, they probably would have had a simple kick put downfield instead of a try. Just hanging on too long there, and a penalty to South. This will get them back down the right end of the field.
Yeah, Peter, it's a bit like what we were talking about last week when there's a dropped ball. Suddenly the unexpected or the unplanned can produce things. Everyone's so regimented and so trained and studying the videos, knowing what opposition teams are going to do.
Yeah, it's just up to reaction then.
The hammer. Mark McGaw still on suspension. Back next week, I think.
Is he suspension from the Gladiators as well, or?
He should be, shouldn't it? Robinson finds some runners. Away goes to Jackson. Now Francis. Good football by South. Short, sharp passing, moving it around. Last tackle now. Field, up the middle he goes. Jackson, Francis knocked over.
Yeah, that was close to a trip.
Wasn't the last tackle, sorry, this is now.
See that again, mate?
Nabel. Taken by George Ellis, got it away. Referee says forward. Tyron Smith in the centres today, on the burst, running straight. Very close.
Yeah, close call here for South Sydney. Matthew Nabel. Now we're looking at this incident that we believe may have been a trip. Well, that's a trip for mine. What do you think, Warren? He threw his leg out.
Threw his leg out, I suppose technically. Oh, it was only one hand, it wasn't two hands, was it? I don't think it was much of a trip, but I mean, I think it was as much a off balance through the leg out rather than a deliberate attempt at tripping. But what about the pass? There was only an inch in that forward pass.
Yeah, Tyron Smith hitting the hole. I often wondered, Peter, if you ever got a start on that Gladiator show, what do you think they call you? Chisel?
He's got no answer. Here's Mesha. Done to dummy half. A kick from Andrew Willis. Corcoran back to the goal line. Plenty of chasers coming through. And McGuinness is there with Leeds. Warming up Jason Tassel. Now Penner to Field. Smith passes to Field. They took a chance. And no gain in the end for that risk. Passing across the goal mouth. Nothing wrong with passing across the goal mouth as long as there's a reasonable gain to be had from the risk. Now it's Robinson. Played a few games of hooker earlier in the season. Nabel. Nabel left Manly because he had too many good players in front of him, the likes of Nick Kosef, Daniel Gartner, Stephen Menzies, all in the back row at Manly. And this kick finds touch 25 metres out.
He's always chatting away, Craig Field, isn't he? Very animated character. Always good to watch.
Worth hanging around at half-time because we've got a story with Craig Field, and he's a fascinating character, really. Good footballer, loves the football. Replacement for Souths, and Jason Tassel has gone on.
Yeah, he does love his footy, very passionate about his football, and a top little bloke too.
You put big raps on him. It must be hard for him trying to break into rep football from Souths when they're coming second last on the ladder.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's all about opportunities, and there is the South player. We just can't get a handle on who it is.
Mesha with a good run.
That's Paul Quinn on the...
Leeds in support for Mesha.
On the blood bin, Paul Quinn.
Georgalis wide, Willis, McGuinness. Well defended though. Ryan came off his wing and Field was up there to make the tackle. Georgalis. He's slammed to ground by Paul Sharm. Last tackle, Willis, an awkward looking left boot. And it's lost by Penner. McGuinness flicks it inside. He didn't find his teammate. And that's play on for South with 6 tackles.
Close thing then. David Penner had no idea, went up for the ball. There's the kick. It was a pretty ordinary kick. In fact, a very ordinary kick, but the pressure's there. David Penner had no idea. Kenny McGuinness tries for the flick back, and that was very close to going to Glenn Grief. That would have been a fluky sort of a try.
That ball did touch the Souths player, didn't it? So it would have been 6 more tackles to West. I suppose McGuinness thought there's a try on if I can find him. Don't have much time to think about it.
If it had come off Warren, he would have been a genius.
Absolutely. Here's Field, little kick on the last tackle. Willis comes to it, Leeds dives forward. And Andrew Leeds saves the day because Craig Field was herring through. Now Smith from the wing. Souths this season have scored 25 tries, but they've conceded 54. Pass up for Smith, but it was late from Stewart. Lewis called held. The big front row fought to get the pass away.
Well, there, have a look at it. There he goes. Oh, it looks like his hand may have just touched the ground. Just touch and go, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. There was a blade of grass literally between it. Pretty unlucky, you'd have to say, Stewart there. Willett finds touch. 8 points to 6 in favour of Souths. We've had 21 minutes of play. Right now, neither team seems to be on top. Souths were in the early stages. West got a lucky try to hit back. At the moment, neither side has the upper hand.
There he is, Paul Quinn. Just a bit of trouble. Good ball from Craig Field.
Penner, tackled by Willis. Andrew Willis. Field. Robinson, pass was forward to Smith. No, play on. And it's on the ground, and Paul Smith looked like he was interfered with. And referee Lewis has seen it that way. Smith was trying to get to the ball on the ground, and he was obstructed, pulled back.
Well, there's Tyrion Smith just put terrible pressure on Will Robinson. He overran the football. Robinson had no choice but to throw that forward pass, and as you can see, Will Robinson just hanging on to Smith. And a good penalty by referee Mick Lewis. I'd love to see Craig Field about this time in the game. I'd love to see Craig Field just have a little bit of a nip by himself. Plenty of holes out there. There's the total errors. South 10, West 6, and that's been the bane of South Sydney this year is their mistake rate. So I'd like to see Craig Field go for a bit of a run now. There's plenty of holes, and they're hanging off him a bit. He's got great acceleration, great step.
Mark Horrow played probably his best game in years. Last game for West against the Western Reds. He's gone off the ball in the last couple of seasons. Leeds, as he has played for New Zealand, Mark Horrow.
It's a super tackle by the little fella.
McGuinness tries to steal down the blind side, but it was well marked by Penner. Langmack. Now Bell, former Cronulla player, Paul Bell. Brandon Pearson was named on the bench, but is out injured. Kick high across field from Willis on the last. Ryan goes up and misses, and Corcoran comes away with it. Well, Ryan did everything right, just didn't come down with the ball.
Good jump, there he is, going for a skip from dummy half.
Get off, get off, get off, get off.
Good jump and just missed the ball completely. Fortunately for him, bounced into Jamie Corcoran's hands, but Western Suburbs are concentrating their bombs on Ryan.
Nabel. You talk about South season, just
maybe that's why. 2
wins and 8 losses. But they have had some problems during the year. They've had a few suspensions. McGaw being one of them, Sean another. Shine just getting the messages from the sideline. They've also got on the injured list at the moment Paul Mellis, Shane Wilson, Jeremy Donaher. Leeds brings it back. Skirts a little wide to try and get away from Smith. And the other Smith, Paul Smith, can't take the pass. Ruled to have gone backwards. Leeds was trying to get around Tyron Smith. Very nearly opened it up for Souths.
Here's Andrew Leeds drifting across field.
That's fine.
That's fine by Tyron. Here's a break from Western Suburbs.
That was Mesher out of dummy half.
Now Langmack, Georgialis finds McGuinness, a little bit of room for him, chased by Penner. Penner keeps him on the sideline now. Good defence, stayed with his man. Coming back out is Paul Quinn. Georgalis knocked over and play on, says referee Lewis. Well, there was plenty of traffic as Georgalis put that kick through and he ran into them.
Not a bad option. I thought if he had got through, it's probably in the clear.
And Tassel. Those Souths players who were in first grade last week but not today. Shannon Donato, Jason Keogh, Jason Bell, that's almost away, Craig Smith, Richard McKell, and Jason Tassel, the man who's just come on from the bench. They were the fellas who were dropped after the dismal performance against Penrith when they lost 42-10 last week. A better side so far today. Craigfield, lovely run, step was a beauty. Support outside, he finds Corcoran. Corcoran's run away from his winger, but he's going to score the try. Jamie Corcoran under the posts. There were 3 men running at Andrew Leeds, and Corcoran, you would think that he would have used either the man on his left or on the right, but instead he threw the dummy, and that was enough to go straight past Andrew Leeds. And look at the work here from Craigfield, the step to get inside, a little bit of a shuffle to beat another man on the outside, lovely footwork by Field, then the speed. Look at him positioning Corcoran. Corcoran could go either way, and Andrew Leeds, really, he had very little hope of stopping them. And Corcoran, a very good try, good support play. Andrew Willis is the man coming out of the line. If you want to come out of the line, you've got to make the tackle. There he is. I said I'd like to see him go for a little bit of a run. Fields, he must have heard me. And Corcoran just comes off his right foot, throws a little bit of a dummy. Andrew Leeds had 4 or 5 men to cover, and Corcoran goes under the post and makes up for that mishap earlier. We let in a soft try from Western Suburbs. Thought he may have gone on the inside with David Penner. He was unmarked as well, but he took the right option. Willis moves in and bangs her over. 2 more points to South. The scoreboard looks very comfortable for the Rabbitohs here in the first half. 13 minutes till the break. They're leading 14-6.
Just look at Andrew Willis, herring up there. He really made Craigfield run. He made up his mind for him, and he's got some nifty footwork and just linked up with the support that was available after he'd broken the line. But Corcoran sure finishes it off. But if you come up quick out of the line, you've got to have some company.
I guess when you're marking Craigfield, you try and judge it. Can I get to him before he's got time to move? Because he's going to be a handful once he runs, but you've got to get him.
Yeah, I can understand that, Warren, because with all players, you like to cut down their time with the ball, all good ball players, and that's what Willis tried to do. But the gap between him and the inside defender was far too big.
I just reckon it's not the go, coming out of the line like that. It's just, I mean, it's just, for the advantage you do get out of it, the disadvantages are too many. I just think it's a no-no.
Just tells the opposition which way to go, doesn't it?
Especially that far. I mean, it's a different situation when they're in a try-scoring position, and if they run 10 metres, they're over the try line. Sure, you've got to stop it, but you know, when the opposition's 40 metres out from their own line, I just can't see the advantage in doing it.
No, I've got to agree with you.
Well, I've got to say this South deserved to be in front, probably by 8 points, Warren. So they were a little unlucky. They tried to Western Suburbs early, but there's a good lad out there, number 11 for South, Michael Francis. Gee, he's done some good things with the ball.
Robinson now kicking downfield to Leeds. Leeds well surrounded. Smith makes the tackle. Quinn fell off.
Incredible when you sit up here where we sit in the commentary positions, way up the top of the grandstand. It just looks to be holes everywhere, doesn't there, in the defensive lines?
It's deceptive, isn't it? You know that if you're on the field, they're a lot harder to spot. Good run now by Grief. That's a beauty from the front row. He's very mobile. He's strong. Not the biggest man, but very agile on his feet. Now the pass on the ground, McGuinness dives back. And now West lose it. They've got 6 more.
I don't know what he's called.
He must have said it was raked out by South. So that would be a penalty, yeah. Well, who knows?
Lucky break there for the Magpies, but here they go on the attack through Billy Dunn.
And they're only 20 metres out. South short on the right. Langmack to Bell. Loses it. Tried to find his winger. He lost control of the ball, and South defence holds on. Will it away now from dummy half. Real opportunity for West on that right-hand side as South's numbers hadn't got back. Now Francis is working hard, as Johnny Peer just pointed out.
He's looking pretty good, isn't he? Spot a good player, Johnny Peer.
Naval.
Wests were at all complacent coming into this game. I think the Tommy Raudonikis would shake it right out of them at half-time. Jackson.
A lot of times, Warren, the scene's already been set before the game.
Yeah, the damage is done.
Yeah, certainly, and it's very hard to get back on track.
Sean plays it back just short of halfway. Field ducks away from Dunn. Puts the kick in and leads, watches it, fine touch, 20 metres out. Craig Field seems to be kicking to this right-hand side most of the time.
He's just doing what he wants to do, Craig Field, isn't he? He ducks under a tackle, gets a nice kick away. That's about his third or fourth good kick today. And we were talking earlier about class players. You can just tell Craig Field's probably just a little bit above all the other players out on the paddock today. Got that little bit of extra class.
Quite a bit of debate in the South's camp, and certainly around or outside the South's camp as to who should be captain of the side. Should it be Craig Field, who is a talker, or Jason Sinclair, or early in the season it was Jason Bell, but Jason Sinclair has been preferred because he's out injured today. This penalty against South is for breaking prematurely from the scrum. Craig Field questions it.
Yeah, I don't know about Craig Field as captain. I think he's, you know, he's a natural talker anyway. He's probably going to be your most dominant talker on the field, regardless of whether he's got the C beside his name. But I just think he gets a little upset with the referee's decisions at times, and it detracts from his performance. And, you know, I've seen him become incredibly frustrated with his players and with the referee, and his game suffered because of that.
Oh, certainly that aspect of it, you're dead right. Whether other aspects make him the leader that the players want. Now West, Bell's in the clear. Again, he's looked for his winger, but it was a wild pass from Paul Bell early in the tackle count. The winger wasn't there. He didn't really look for him. He just flung hoping. Smith had come back inside. He was trailing behind rather than being out on his right. Justin Dooley stretching for West.
Plenty of yards down the middle for the South forwards, Peardy.
Yeah, there is. The go-forwards have been good, but Jackson's giving a very good service. He could be the next skipper in a week or two, Peter. With a name like that, you'd have to make him captain, wouldn't you?
Oh, exactly. Straight to the top of the class. For a name like that, he probably doesn't drink either.
In his sleep.
Leads. Comes back towards centre field, but he's going to take them on himself. Runs into Sean.
Of course, he's from the Warrington Club, I'm pretty sure. Is that right, Warren? Lee Jackson? It's from the Warrington Club, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Jacko, I can't remember. Sheffield Eagles, our statistician, Graham Roberts tells me.
Well, there you go, just playing a South player, lying in the play the ball. Now, it's okay to lie in the play the ball, but you've got to make an attempt to get out of the ruck area, and I think that's what Mick Lewis was alluding to when he penalised the South plays. You've got to make some sort of, you've got to roll away or, you know, just get off your back and make some sort of an effort.
Stewart hits it up to halfway. Now Horro really in the team because Sidaris is out. Sidaris has been in the second row. Mesha, Langmack, back inside to Dunn. Almost through, he beat one tackle, but was closed up nicely by Sean. McGuinness. That's Peter Driscoll, the tackler. Georgialis, a bit of space for him. Mesha ducks under a tackle. Good work initially by the front rower there, Grief. Now it goes out. That pass looked forward from Willis to Langmack. Now it's Leeds. Field is everywhere in defence at the moment. Langmack. Bell. He wanted someone inside. Nobody went there for him. Mesha. 10 out now. Last tackle coming up for West. Haven't been down here very often. Langmack looked for Georgialis. He went without it. And that's a handover.
Yeah, there's no doubt the pass from Willis to Langmack was forward. Mick Lewis picked it up with the aid of his touch judge, I'm pretty sure, because if you watch Lewis, I mean, that was almost deliberately for you. Lewis plays on, but he obviously gets the call from the touch judge. And close call there for South Sydney.
You wonder how Langmack and Georgialis didn't manage to combine without dropping the ball there. There was quite a big hole. Georgialis was on the burst. Pass seemed set to go to him and he would have scored. Dunn's off for Wests. Driscoll's got the ball, but the referee gives South the penalty.
This is what you're after when you're trying to work the ball out from your own line. Nice little piggyback penalty. Thank you very much. That'll give us another 20 metres. So South Sydney, they've been impressive. Western Suburbs on the other side, a little bit below their best today. They're probably expecting an easy win.
Just trying to read what that penalty was for. I think it was the markers moving prematurely. So Souths have been pretty impressive. Certainly been persistent in this first half. They're leading 14-6. 30 metres out with 4.5 minutes to go in the first half. Jackson couldn't find the runner. He's expecting someone on the left. Now there's Smith. He's buried, 20 out. Morrow gets off him. Field, deep, across to Robinson. Takes him on, gets it back nicely. Field there once more. Ryan, the goose step, and away he goes. Stays in the field to play well. Only 3 metres out. Penner gives it to, well, he doesn't give it to Shane, he gives it to Field. Now it's lost by Quinn. Couldn't quite hang on to it. And was desperate for West.
The opportunities there for South Sydney. There was holes everywhere. They just had to pick the right option. Fortunately, Craig Field threw a nice pass. Quinn couldn't take it. Had he taken the ball, I expect he may have gone in under the post. 14-6. South up against the Maggies. And how's Tommy going down the sideline there, Peardy? Handling it?
Yeah, we'll be having a few Peter Jacksons, wouldn't he?
Wayne Ellis is on the two-way.
Anything could happen.
Last tackle
they just
coming
need
up.
a bit of possession, West, and just work away, just to go forward with their front rowers and just get their game on a firm foundation. But getting the ball is what they need.
I was just thinking about the comparisons between Tom Radonicus and Alan Jones, two different coaches. I don't think you can see, there's the high tackle from Tyron Smith, just a shoulder charge. I don't think you can see two more different people in rugby league than Alan Jones and Tommy Radonicus.
South's player down.
Jamie Corcoran, I think you'll find it is. There's the tackle, just standing, and probably those knees from Paul Smith, accidental.
Pete, I reckon breakfast with Tommy Radonicus wouldn't be a bad show.
Here's Quinn working it up the middle. Be a bit rough on the ears.
He wouldn't need a microphone, would he?
Now it's Nable. And if you're a Tom Radonicus or Paul Langmack fan, I'd suggest you stick around at half-time. We've got a surprise for you, courtesy of HG and Roy's show from last night. Now Souths recover after the loose pass, and the ball hits the corner post. So it'll be back out to the 20. 2 minutes remaining in the first half now. So if West play out this set of 6, there won't be much time left. Could be a blood bin here.
There's the kick. It's a little unlucky, hitting the post.
It's actually
good shot.
Corcoran, who's been dazed in that tackle. We saw him accidentally cop knees a little while ago. I don't know whether it's actually a blood bin so much as just
there is
in Disneyland.
There is Tricky Trindle, Darryl Trindle, number 14, out on the field. Favourite for the South crowd, and a tremendous little football and excitement machine. He's had a real battle this year to stay in first grade, but he can play the game, Tricky Trindle. Don't worry about that.
He'll be in the blood bin too, Warren Corcoran.
Thanks, Johnny. Souths have certainly had their share of possession. Indication from the forwards hitting it up. Souths 52 hit-ups to West's 33 now. Langmack cuts out and finds McGuinness. Great run, McGuinness. Inside support from Horrow. West right on the attack, 35 out. McGuinness. So Langmack wrapping around. McGuinness again. Now Dooley stands, and it's an intercept. Almost an intercept. Play on. West have got it back, so it is play on. A couple of knock forwards from South. Stewart. Way to Mesha. Georgialis. Georgialis up to the 20. Still 1.5 minutes to go before half-time. So West Well, they look like they're almost ready to panic to get a try. Don't need to.
He's a good player, that bloke.
Grief.
Grief. Gee, he's a good footballer.
Plays it forward, still going Grief. South stop him, 2 metres out. Mesher's field races up on Georgialis. Langmack gives it to Leeds, and Leeds is over. And I think he's got it down. Referee Lewis will award the try. And Andrew Leeds scores for West just before half-time. A much-needed try from the Magpies, because for the most part it's been South looking the more constructive. He's calling out one of the South players for a caution. It's Nable. Matthew Nable spoken to.
Well, anyway, let's have a look at it now. And Steve Georgialis, this is after some concerted attack. Paul Langmack just holds it up for Andrew Leeds, and there was a huge hole there. And the veteran custodian goes through. Craigfield coming out of the line, and Tyran Smith just going out there. He got sucked into that decoy runner, and Paul Langmack was smart enough to hold the pass up for that split second and unload to Leeds, who did the rest quite easily. In fact, there he is, Andrew Leeds, getting into that hole. Tyran Smith, unaccustomed to defending out in the centres, and a little bit bamboozled by the Western Suburbs attack.
Andrew Leeds, the try scorer, and will attempt the conversion, as he started out with Parramatta Rugby Union, played 14 rugby tests for Australia, and might be able to get a spot for the second test over the World Cup if he was still playing rugby. A couple of holes in that Australian lineup. Leeds, and it's a great kick. What a boost for his side right on half-time. Just after the siren had gone, all of a sudden, the gap is closed right down after South had led 14-6. Suddenly, at 14 points to 12 in favour of the Rabbitohs, the Magpies are right back in this match.
Okay, let's update AFL scores. 3 matches this
Out injured, and the captain of South today is Craig Field. And while the Rabbitohs might be finding it a little tough this year, the feisty 22-year-old has managed to shine. Craig Field having a good season, and during the week, Bernie Cohen had a round of golf with him.
Off for a game of golf, but when I'm on the football field,
you know you make me want to shout, throw my arms up.
You'd want to see Babes and Dolls, brought to you by Paul Langmack and Tommy the Kraut Radonicus. Side for much of it, West a little bit of luck, and a certainly very timely try just before half-time. And Debbie Spillane, what's the news from downstairs?
Well, despite Souths appearing to have the better of the first half, apparently Tom Radonicus isn't too disappointed with the Magpies' performance so far. He wants them to concentrate on ball control in the second half and tighten up the defence around the rucks and work it forward in the middle of the field before spreading it wide. Over in the Souths dressing room, I got the news that Jamie Corcoran will be back on shortly. He's not too badly knocked around. Ball control is also important for them. More dummy half runs is something that Ken Shine has suggested, and he wants them to concentrate on locking up the ball in defence on the West players.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned there more dummy half runs. We have seen Lee Jackson working very nicely from dummy half, but he's only dashed out there once, I think. We might see a little bit more from Jackson running the ball in this half.
Well, it's a good point that Wayne Collins, who of course is a hooker as well, he said how well he's fitted into this team, Lee Jackson. He's learned all the calls, and seems very confident in the surroundings with his new players. So, as we said earlier, Warren, I think that's one of his great strengths, Lee Jackson, is the fact that he can get out of dummy half. He's quite quick. And if he does get caught, he can unload as well. So, interesting to see if he takes those options in the second half.
Dooley to play it, but South slow to get off him, and they've conceded the penalty. And it was Paul Shan, slow to climb off. And again, you've got to question the wisdom of him laying on him here, because most of the South defence looked pretty well set. They weren't going backwards at a rate of knots.
Yeah, sometimes it's a lottery, but Warren, I mean, sometimes you can lay on a bloke for 2 seconds or 3 seconds and get away with it, and then another time you can lay on a bloke for 1.5 seconds and get pinged. So it's very much an individual thing as far as referees go, and some referees are consistent, some aren't.
As long as they're consistent through the 80 minutes of this game, and then even if they're different next game. Reef puts it down, and that won't please the singing Tommy Radonicus. A lot more serious right now. Paul Langmack told me before the game that Tom Radonicus at one stage got carried away with demolishing the house, and when the director said, "Stop, fellas, we want to do this," Tom, he couldn't stop him swinging. The just got into a lather of fever, of demolition. Field gets it out to Smith. He can't hang on. Both teams handling, letting them down early in this second half. Not a bad pass. A few tacklers coming in on Smith, but he looked as if he could have held this.
Oh, it's a good pass. There's nothing wrong with the pass at all. And he was through the hole as well.
There was a little bit of daylight. That's a good play, the run around, picking up the straight runner.
Top tacklers, Paul Sharn leading the way for Souths with 17. Michael Francis and Matthew Nabel. And for Wests, it's Bill Dunn with 17. Brent Stewart and Mark Horrow, 16. Dooley, who's worked hard since coming on from the bench. Georgialis doesn't have too much support out there. McGuinness taken by Penner. Ryan in the tackle as well. Grief spins. Shine. Wouldn't he desperately love a win here today? South's third win of the season if they can get it. Now Andrew Willis skirts back to the blind side, finds some space. Back inside to McGuinness. He's got support in Horrow, and Horrow's going to score. Mark Horrow dives from a few metres out and lands over the try line. That's a sign that he was wondering if they were catching him. You're getting a little anxious as to whether you're going to reach that line. But West hit the lead for the first time, 16-14. And it started with Willis going back to the blind side where the defence just was a little thin. Here he is carving back. South had it covered on one side of the field, but not the other. He gets into a bit of space. McGuinness hit it well. He positioned himself very nicely, and equally good backup from Mark Horrow. The legs and the breath pumping, and he reaches that try line. Oh,
how happy is he to score, Mark Horrow? He doesn't get many. When he does, he makes sure they're rippers. Here's Willis. He just slices through here. A missed tackle by the front row. Another missed tackle by Jackson. Well, he didn't miss him. He just couldn't tie up the ball. And McGuinness does everything right through the hands. And big Mark Horrow. He'll get a better look from this angle. Paul Langmack turns it back inside. Now, there's nothing really happening for Willis. He drifts across field, spots a little opening. Lee Jackson can't stop the ball. And Kedman McGuinness just showed what a fine young player he is. Summed up the situation perfectly. Unloaded the ball to Horrow. And the big Kiwi's over. Andrew Leeds should knock this one over, Warren.
And he certainly should. Only 10 metres away. Craigfield not even bothering to watch. And it's there. And West lead 18-14. Try scored by the former New Zealand captain.
South suffer here because this reverse pass from Langmack. Look at the defence on the far side from South. They're just hanging back. Lee Jackson starts to react now. There he goes. He's too late. He's been dragged out by Willis. McGuinness is in the hole. McGuinness is explosive, and Horrow does the rest. Probably could have improved his position under the post.
Those Souths looking at that might have wondered why there wasn't a little bit more cover coming from the centre of the field. They left it all to the far side.
They didn't move up both sides of the ruck, and that's I mean, that's easy to say to do that, but you know, football players are human. They do get lazy, and they see the ball go 2 passes to the right. The last thing they think the opposition will do is turn it back and come back down the blind side. Well, on that occasion, West did that, and just a little bit lazy, the South defence. But I suppose you can put that down to South Sydney had great possession. Tyrone Smith was in a big hole. There's a penalty holding down the player. Tyrone Smith was in a big hole, dropped the ball. Western Suburbs come up with the try, and I think that was going through Ken Shine's head.
Just holding down a little here is Nabel. He started to climb off him, gave another half push, and that was enough for referee Lewis to award the penalty. That try with South not coming up the blind side, also reminiscent of in the first half where Leeds ran back to the blind side and there was no defence, and it ended up with a try. Might have been a bit more luck involved in that one, but nevertheless the same fault is apparent. Now Horrow ducks under a tackle, 30 metres out. Dooley, knocked over by Driscoll. Georgialis, Andrew Willis. He ran away from Jackson fairly easily.
Even then, Warren, it was evident, both sides not moving up. They tend not to cover in towards the ball, and it leaves too many holes if you want to reverse.
Oh, Langmack has found Grief, and that's a great try by Glenn Grief. South's defence will hang its head, but Grief has carved his way onto this pass and straight through the defence. Beautifully laid on for him by Paul Langmack. Langmack is one man who can put you into the hole, and he just needs the runners, and this time Glengreve has come.
When you've got a clever ball player like Paul Langmack, he'll spot those weaknesses and act accordingly, and he did. Glengreve hit that hole perfectly. And, you know, once again, he must be unlucky not to be close to a start-up in the Origin side. Grief.
Body blow for Souths as Leeds puts 2 more on the board, 2 tries in 4 minutes, and all of a sudden it's a different complexion. West 24 leading, South 16.
Yeah, Langmack's been involved in most of the tries for West. He works best 2 out. Look at that. That's a hip ball, they call that, just coming from, or a shoulder ball, just off the shoulder was Grief. You don't see a front rower doing that all that often, but when you've got a talented ball player like Langmack, geez, he just puts it on a plate for you.
The old hip ball.
The hip ball.
Yeah.
Off the hip, Jagger.
You're a hip guy, Petey.
You're a Maynard G. Krebs kind of guy. Here's George Arliss.
What? Oh, here's trouble. That was a dangerous tackle. Nick Lewis calling out a South defender. He sent him off.
It's Driscoll. Peter Driscoll has been sent off for a spear tackle. And Lewis, well, Driscoll can't believe it. Lewis having no sympathy whatsoever. Over the top, the hand.
In between the legs.
A bit of help too from Will Robinson.
Yeah, Will Robinson's probably very lucky. He didn't go as well. Now, they both in between the legs. Yeah, that's a dangerous tackle. And I've got no complaints from me about that one. What about you, Petey?
I guess it looked bad, but I think it could have been on report instead of sending off. But you've got to stamp that thing out. Once the hand goes between the legs, you're in big trouble, as you know, Peter.
Exactly.
But you'd have to say that Driscoll, whatever suspension he gets, presuming he's found guilty, he should split it with Robinson, because they've both contributed equally there. In fact, Robinson looked like he was the first one to lift. The referee probably didn't have the advantage of the video to analyse, but he knew that a player had been speared. And I think that is the policy that the referees have had. A spear tackle, you're straight off. Yeah. South down to 12 men. One more look.
Yeah, you're right. I think you're right, Warren. Will Robinson is the initial lifter. And he's a very lucky boy. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in at Phillip Street on Monday as well.
It's rare that you see a spear tackle with just one man in it, one man making the tackle. Here's Dooley. So West suddenly have all the advantages. They're leading by 24 points to 14. And they have 13 against 12 for the next 30 minutes.
I suppose the one saving grace the South players do have is that they didn't drive George Arliss into the ground. They basically let him go. Here's a chance. Oh, that was looked pretty high. Round the shoulder, Nick Lewis rules.
Tyron Smith, the tackler. George Arliss, 10 metres out, goes to the line, shops around, almost intercepted. Willis puts it down. It went back. Grief keeps it alive. It is the last. Still alive. Langmack finds the unmarked winger, Willis. He's come back inside and he scores a try. Lovely swerve from Darren Willis. Willis, neat footwork. I thought he would just run straight to the corner. I'm not so sure that wouldn't have been the easiest path. But coming back inside, he's beaten 3 men. Reminds me of that famous try Johnny Ferguson scored in a grand final when he came back inside to beat the defence against the Tigers. But here it is, Willis. That pass, or that drop ball, ruled that it went back, play on, and Willis does well the second time to quickly hand it on. Willis comes back inside. Maybe Trindle would have made the tackle there. Great footwork, caught them all going the wrong way, and Darren Willis, a very good winger, scores a good try.
Steve George Arliss taking the ball to the line, as he does so well. Pops one out, a little bit risky, knocked back by Willis. That was great work. Glengreve gets rid of a good one-hander, sloppy one on the ground. Paul Langmack, the man on the spot once again, gets a floating pass out to Willis, and as you said, he had the defence wrong-footed, and it gets an easy, untouched run to the line. So Western Suburbs, absolute Magpie mania.
Well, this pass from George Arliss was just so tempting for the South player to come up, wasn't it? If he stayed there, maybe he would have made a tackle and closed it there.
Yeah, they just had numbers everywhere, West. They had to score the try, and it's had 3 tries in the space of 5 or 6 minutes. And put in the one just before half-time, so they've scored 4 tries in basically, well, they've scored 4 tries in 10 minutes. And that'll be a good night, Irene, for the poor old Rabbits.
They're shattered behind the posts. And Willis would say it's Leeds, who's had 3 shots at goal from close range. Has made it 3 out of 3 with them. It's 30-14 all of a sudden.
Yeah, the West just starting to get a bit more position. Look at Langmack. George Arliss was trying to put Langmack in a hole then, opted for the long ball because it hit the ground, but Langmack on the scene. Here he comes around the back. He's been involved in most of the tries that West have scored and thrown the final pass in probably 3 of them. He's having a great year, and the players really realise what an asset he is to the side when he's in form.
It's going to be very hard for South from here with only 12 men. West's leading by 16 points. What a turnaround. 3 tries in 8 minutes in the second half. And suddenly South's error count has blown out to 27 and missed tackles, most of those errors. 21 missed tackles.
Well, here's this man, Glenn Grief. Great run. He's got Craig Field for a swinging arm here. Glenn Grief, bustling, bulldozing run. Got rid of about 4 or 5 defenders. It'll be interesting to have a look at this on replay. Paul Langmack, the captain of West. There's Glenn Grief. That's about his 4th defender he's got through. Field throws one in there, then he throws a little one in there. Not much in it. Probably worth a penalty. Nothing more. There's his first one. He gets bumped away. He comes again. His little tyrant.
He's very frustrated, Peter, isn't he? I mean, he's given all his all today.
He doesn't know how to not give his all, I think, Craig Field.
Morale of South must have sunk. Leaders at half-time, the coach would have revved them up, said this is the way to go about it, more of the same. Suddenly they're down. Now Mesha and Jackson are suddenly realising what it's like to be on the field rather than off. He watched them beaten by Penrith last week 42-10. Probably thought the first half was a different side he joined. Leaves it behind. Now Paul Bell. Horrow, Georgialis goes back and Robinson follows him. 10 metres inside South's half. Last tackle coming up. Marcus seemed to move very early. He's gone straight up in the air. And a South player thrown away. Robinson was knocked away by, I think it was Andrew Willis. The referee seen it differently, and Penner sprinting over halfway. Chased and tackled by the winger Willis. Trindle, Robinson, South trying to hit back. Field, lovely pass quickly onto Smith. Smith is only 10 out. Willett dummy half. Field. Trindle pops the kick through, and it's a chance too. Coming through is Ryan. Ryan dives, claims a try, and referee Lewis will award it. Try on the far side to Jason Ryan. Smart kick by Trindle. What a hit back by South, just as they looked as if it was all one-way traffic heading west way. The break by Penner, and away they go. The Rabbits with Trindle. Throws the dummy, then holds it back, puts the kick through. Willis had been drawn in defence, and Ryan scores the try.
I suppose the big question is, was Ryan onside? There's the long ball to Craig Field. Gets a good one out to Darryl Trindle, who always has something up his sleeve. Yes, no problem about him being onside. A great little kick, perfectly weighted, and Ryan does the rest as any good winger would. So there he is, Darryl Trindle, tricky Trindle, sums up the situation. As I said, a fantastic footballer. Really a natural talent, one of the most naturally talented players, I think, in the game, Trindle. And does all the right things there, comes up with the try. And the Rabbits have hit back, and they needed to hit back. The last thing they needed was to be flogged today by 40 points, or for the opposition to rattle up 50 points, and Willett moving in.
Where the damage was done was back upfield when Penner got away. West were in possession. And Willett close, but not close enough. That'll give South a lot of heart. They've scored a try. One man down, long way to go though. 30-18 to Wests. Willett couldn't quite add the extras.
Watch Langmack and his fellow defenders out here. They see they wait because they're outnumbered. Langmack waited around, but Trindle did it well. He took it right up to the line, and Langmack didn't move up on him, and that enabled Ryan to get through and get the jump on his opposite winger.
Leeds just steady things down. All the advantages are with West. One man up. leading by 12 points. But the Souths have always had a fighting spirit.
It can change quickly, Warren. We had West attacking 20 metres out from South's line, that drop ball, and then Penner took it down there and gave them the opportunity to get something over the line.
Now Shan. It's not just Souths who have fighting spirit. Many a side down to 12 men has suddenly dug deep and played better than they were with 13. Now West will give a penalty away, holding on in the tackle. And in the lead up to that try, this is where West, you mentioned it, Johnny Peard, West took the quick tap, and Langmack threw it out wide. It was West on the attack, and just a simple drop ball by Jordalis, and away went Penner, and that started the movement that led to the try.
Here they are, the Rabbits on the attack again. A try here would be very, very handy, thank you.
They're only 30 metres out. Shan. Jordalis comes in, having difficulty holding him. Shan, quite a tall front rower. Now Field chops up the middle. He finds Penner. Nice step from David Penner. Beat Horro. Two former Parramatta players one-on-one. Only 10 metres out, it's Field. Gives it away to Beecraft. Now it's Robinson. South firing up here. Trying to hit right back. Field gives it, looking for Jackson. He left it behind, and West dive on it through Dooley.
Well, just a little bit behind that pass from Pakefield to Lee Jackson. There was a hole there. Had he gone through the hole, he would have scored.
Got plenty of eager runners, Craig Field, off him, because he takes the ball to the line. You can really line yourself up properly to run for a hole when someone takes it to the line with the speed that Craig Field does.
Well, there's no way that Souths have thrown in the towel, but the next try is going to be the key one. South score it, that'll really just lift them once again, but if West score it, well, that is it. 20 minutes to go right now. Leeds has kicked out on the full. Almost landed on Johnny Peard and Debbie Spillane's head. But that's an error that West will quite possibly regret. The Souths will go on the attack, 35 out. And Field slammed on his back by Willis, didn't appreciate it. And it was 6 more tackles as it was touched. Wasn't a particularly good pass by Field. Shan now with the ball. It's a high tackle, I think, in here.
I think you're right, Warren. Quick tap by Trindle.
And now the touch judge is on as well.
Paul Langmack in there.
It's a Shan with the ball.
Shan with the ball. A little bit high. It wasn't a vicious tackle.
Sort of coming up rather than horizontally into the head.
Andrew Willis has been called out.
Touch judge has seen a different high tackle, so there's 2 of them. And Willis going to go for 2 points. They're down by 12. That's 2 converted tries. I think I'd be going for the try.
I think initially they were going for the try.
This is the Willis tackle, which the touch judge reported, and that one's the worst tackle.
Around the throat. Oh, that hurts.
And if the deciding panel, the judiciary, are interested, they might just look long and hard at that one too.
I think South would have gone for the try, Warren, if they had been allowed to get away with that quick tap. But by the time the touch had gone off the field, the West defensive line was back intact. Probably the right option.
Are they backing themselves to score 2 converted tries and then this 2 more to win the game? Willis put it through, and it's 30 points to 20. This game has really been a crackerjack second half. Unpredictable, to say the least. Don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, well, there's been plenty of line breaks, hasn't there? Plenty of ball movement. It's been entertaining.
Not all with the run of play. Oh, there's a study, isn't there? That's a coach whose team are down to 12 men, and this season have had 8 losses out of 10. He hasn't given up hope, that's for sure. Just a mind ticking over, thinking, what can I do to come up with something else to win this game? Field. And that's a good tackle by Glenn Grieve. He just launched his body at Field. He didn't take any dummies, didn't hang off him. Willett up the middle, running off Quinn. Now Jackson gets it inside to Quinn, onto Beecraft. Both teams done some damage with the pass back into the centre of the ruck. Now Jackson picks up 12 metres. Back go the Magpies. Robinson, Trindle. Leeds has got it well covered. Plenty of chases there too. Trindle can't make the tackle. Leeds on his own 10-metre line. West forward straggling back on side. Willis. Slammed to ground there by Tassel. Now Dooley. McGuinness. Runs well, just working a little wider away from the bigger men. Georgalis one up. Don't see him hitting it up, and why would you on the 5th tackle? Leads with the kick, chased by Robinson, didn't get a hand on it. Field is back at fullback. And he's away from Bell. Doesn't give it to Willett, he loses it, Craig Field. Dooley has it for West. And that error on the 1st tackle, that's the sort of mistake that just cruels you.
Yeah, sort of mistake we don't expect to see from Craig Field. Great run, standing back at fullback. Here's a chance for West.
Mesher.
We'll take the yards, Cherry Mesher, if they're there.
Reef scored 1 try. Can't break the tackle of Jason Tassel. They're only 15 out here, West. Georgalis fires it to Langmack, straightening. Never really feared that Paul Langmack was going to make many breaks in a game, but he might give the pass that causes the breaks. Andrew Willis to Dooley. Justin Dooley has tackled 10 out. He's lost it. Referee says there was no South's hand in there. It was simply Dooley losing it.
Well, let's have a look at it. Tyron Smith has his hand on the ball, but I mean, you've got to hang on to the ball. Tyron Smith can't be blamed for doing that. He couldn't even see where the ball was. There's the errors, 31 to 17. So South have added their error count in the second half incredibly.
That hand on the football there, while the tackle's being made, I think it's totally legitimate. Once the tackle's complete, that hand should be out of there, and that's what Ian Roberts does. He keeps the hand on the ball and makes you have to be the active one in trying to play it safely. Once that tackle's complete, the hands should be right off the football. Penalty against West. Plenty of penalties in this half as well. Andrew Willis, the offender.
Well, I think he must have called held. Ryan blowing up incredibly to the referee, but you know, I don't know about that one. Perhaps today it might be legitimate because there is such a small crowd, but calling held when there's 26 players on the field and a big crowd in and you don't hear it, I think it's just a bit tough.
9-8 the penalties now going West way. Michael Francis, one of the players warming up there. Also Matthew Nable. Both played well in the 1st half. Maybe they're the ones that carry Ken Shine's hopes. Bad pass, and Langmack intercepts. Who was it? Jackson throwing the pass?
It's Craig Field, actually. And there was a misunderstanding there. Paul Langmack looks like he could be pretty seriously injured. But there he is, little animated guy himself. Jackson to Field. And I think there was someone supposed to be in that hole, because it seemed like he lobbed that pass waiting for someone to run into that hole. They didn't get the gist. Francis, he goes off for his 2nd time today.
Yeah, that's Quinn,
I think it is.
That's
Quinn, sorry.
The official crowd is 4,695, I think. And that's all it is. They're making plenty of noise. And it hasn't been a bad game of football for them. Langmack was always up there looking for that one, and he ran into Quinn, and Quinn's had to leave the field injured, or replaced at least. Georgalis to Dunn. He's just come back onto the field for West. West looking for their 7th win of the season. To really consolidate in not only the top 8, but up in the top 5. 20 metres out. Georgalis. Langmack, and Willis is in the space, tackled by Robinson. Dooley inside. Good support by the big forward. Backing up his 5'8". 12 metres out. Last tackle for West. As it goes to Andrew Willis. The kick into the end goal. I think it was carried over that try line. It was. And he'll have to play it. Well, it wouldn't make any difference anyway, I suppose, but he danced back into the end goal. 30 points to 20 in favour of West. 12 minutes to go. Driscoll, or Tassel, I should say. Oh, another wicked pass to Horrow. Whether there was a call or there wasn't from the West player, you just can't do that. They're killing themselves, South. Mesha throws it out the back to Bell. Georgalis sprints into the hole. Leeds was backing him up. South short on the far side. They've only got 3 or 4 men there. Mesha goes towards the post. Driscoll now. Really wasting one there, West. Langmack pops it short for Leeds, and Leeds reaches out. West screaming, and they've got the try. And Andrew Leeds reached out and got it down, and he had to use every bit of his reach. And it's going to be very hard now for South, down 34 to 10. As Langmack, a lovely short pass, and Leeds did very well to hang on to it. In fact, he might have lost it if not for Beecraft being in his road, and gets it down safely.
When you're hot, you're hot. There's the wasted play. The boy's been in everything Dooley since he's come on. He's been very energetic. And Paul Langmack says, I've already got him once with this play. I'll try it again. Doesn't come off. And in the end, a pretty lucky result for the Magpies. But 4 points is 4 points. Read about it tomorrow in the paper.
Pretty hard to defend against this short pass, isn't it? Because he's holding it back. You can't tackle the man till he gets the ball, and your momentum is almost being held back. And then he finally gives it to him on the second shuffle, and Leeds just spins out of the tackle.
Well, it works extra well when the players on the outside, the defending players on the outside, rush up out of the line, because that does leave the hole. And Paul Langmack read that, but you'd have to say that one was a bit lucky, wouldn't it?
In terms of holding it.
Yeah, I mean, it was... there's the kick anyway for Andrew
Leeds, difficult one, and he's missed. West have taken a firmer grip on the match now. It's 34-20 with 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, when your luck's in, these things come off. Here's the early ruck. Just Dooley went back in, so the defence hadn't been moved at all. If goal line defence out on the right, Langmack was trying to draw Beecraft in. Look, Beecraft didn't go for it. He went right for Leeds and just couldn't grab hold of him. A little bit of luck, a fumble, but he's over for the try.
Dooley brings it back strongly. Surely the story of this half for South has just been the errors that they have made when they weren't really under pressure. Some bad passes twice in the last few minutes. The ball's been lost on the first tackle. Replacement out there for West. Looks like Kyle White off the bench. He's fresh. Hasn't been used so far today. And he goes without the ball there. Just come back from a season in England, Kyle White. Dunn makes the next tackle. South take play back into West half through field. Paul Sharn. Andrew Willis drives in at the chest. Tackling pretty strongly for a 5'8". Willis, he's driving in at the forwards. Robinson beats a tackle, sprints into the open spaces. Horrow dives, misses. Leeds doesn't though. He's got Robinson. Great chase though from Mark Horrow. Field wrapping around. Jackson evades one, gives it to Willett. They should follow Jackson. He will get free. Nabel, and it's dropped by Robinson, but West were never back the 10. Referee was playing the advantage.
He thinks that's quite funny, Mick Lewis. There's Will Robinson in all sorts of trouble with a cramp. South's not totally out of the game.
Tyron Smith, he's lost it.
Well, he's lost the ball. That's his third or fourth occasion Tyron Smith's come up with the drop today. Hasn't had much football this year. Not quite sure what's wrong with him. I think he's been out injured early in the season. And unfortunately, I don't know if Tyran's go, actually. He likes to be a lot more involved than he is. Usually like finding players who like to be involved, they get rusty when they're not involved, and all of a sudden they're thrown into a situation and they haven't really been moving along with the game, and they find themselves not being able to handle it.
Been the kind of game where South could have got good value out of him up the middle too, because they've often switched the play back in there.
Well, here's this bloke again, Glenn Grief.
This keeps coming, doesn't it?
Oh, well, he's got to be the form front row. I know David Gillespie, one of the great front rowers of our modern era, has got a huge rap on him. Thinks he's a great player.
Mesha ducked under a swinging arm from Tyron Smith. Now Bell. Got another replacement on for West.
That's another McGuinness there. Kevin McGuinness.
Georgalis. Willis. Dooley. That's good defence by South. Michael Francis driving hard in there with Jason Tassel. Last one coming up for the Magpies. Willis kicks downfield. Trindle, there's plenty of chasers coming through. Ken McGuinness was sprinting, and no time for Darryl Trindle. He barely had time to have a peep. They were on him. Field.
First one back there, Craig Field. Great energy levels.
South's only wins this season have been over Parramatta and the Tigers. Rounds 5 and 9. While West now have the scalps of Illawarra, Parramatta, the Roosters, Cronulla, the Tigers and Western Reds. Starting to accumulate a fair bag. They still have some very good sides to play, West in the comp. They have lost to Brisbane, Auckland and Newcastle and Penrith already this year. So I suppose they've met a few of the top sides. Field finds touch.
Will Robinson. He doesn't seem too dirty about losing Will Robinson, does he? Maybe that's their problem. Craig Field finding the line 10 metres out, another good kick. He's got a good kicking game, Craig Field. He's got a good all-round game. Paul Langmack coming back onto the field. He's been the best for West today. Been in everything good. Thrown the last pass for, I think, four of their tries. And he's a great asset to the club.
I didn't realise Langmack had left the field. He couldn't have been off for very long.
He's a great asset to house demolishing too.
South Sydney fans might like to stick with us after the game, because we missed the League Lens, our usual half-time feature. It's Jason Sinclair, who was out injured, unfortunately, today. But during the week, he had the handy cam and came up with some good pictures for us, and we'll show that after the game here. Glenn Grief bustling his way up the middle again. He's a handful. He just seems to have some upper body strength. It keeps him moving and makes it hard for them to get hold of him.
Keeps pumping those thighs, those big thunderous thighs.
Kyle White. Now there's a robust, short powerhouse figure too. Langmack dummying, and Georgalis was arriving. Couldn't quite turn and find him on his right. Now leads on the last. Willett, former rugby player. Can't get away from Bell. Plenty of players in both sides have played for more than one club, haven't they? Just trying to find the opportunity at a different club. Tassel. It's amazing. We talked about enthusiasm before the game, and it's such a magic ingredient, and Tommy Rodonica seems to have brought it to West this year. Magpie looking pretty relaxed about this game.
Mark the Magpie, I think he's been... Oh, that's just a woeful pass by Darryl Trindle. It's a real hospital pass, that one. Dennis Beecraft was the man, and he knows it wasn't a great pass. There he is, tricky. And it was only one way that bloke was going to go. That was into the ground or off to the North Shore Hospital.
He's such a good player when he's hot, Darryl Trindle. He's the sort of guy that South need to be playing his best. He's at half here, and Field is out in the centres. And almost dropped by Kevin McGuinness, who has been performing very well in the lower grades and making some of the rep teams. Now White. Kyle White played plenty of first grade with the Bulldogs a few seasons back, but tends to be in the lower grades these days. 40 errors by South. So many of them have been in the second half. 28 missed tackles, a total of 12 handling errors. Actually just handed the ball back to West 7 times. "40 metres out for the Magpies. Andrew Willis, whose kicking game has been solid today. He started off with some very good bombs, and he just kept pecking South's back. He and Leeds. Kicks haven't been outstanding, but they've been effective enough.
Well, Mick, that must be at his 10th or 15th penalty he's given for infringements in the play the ball area. Cherry Mesher was the man responsible there. Corcoran just taking the ball up, or was it Billy Dunn? Billy Dunn just hanging on a little bit too long.
Young Kevin McGuinness has recently been picked in the New South Wales Combined High Schools Open team. Looks like he's got plenty of ability. The tackle is a little high, and the South player resenting it. Francis copped it. The one who dished it out was Kyle White.
Killer Kyle White. Have a look at this one. There he is. He's only a little bloke, Kyle White, and he gets him right around the neck. No doubting that.
That one was swinging back and did make contact with the face. Kyle White has visited the judiciary before in his career. He's fired up.
Isn't he what? Recently come back from England where he played off-season stint with.
It'll be interesting. There's been 3 high tackles in this game, and they've been in that area of do you send them to the judiciary or do you not? There was quite a few last week, including 2 by Josh Stewart from Norths in the game against the Broncos, where no action was taken. Interesting to see where the consistency is this week.
Well, they have to go and report, don't they? They have to go and report from the referee for Ron Massey, and Mick Stone have a look at them.
Well, no, not entirely. That's been the whole problem this week, is that nobody seems to know what the rules are. The league has changed the rules. Now the citing panel can look at any incident any time that they want to. It doesn't have to be an official complaint. It can just be brought to their attention any way, any time. And if they choose to, they can look at it and send it to the judiciary.
Leave it, fellas.
That's been part of the problem, is that rule apparently was changed because all the club executives wanted it to be changed, but then the league didn't send the memo out to the club saying it had been changed. Then it was ratified by the board. Here's White, he takes a hit, he stands, delivers. McGuinness, Ken McGuinness, up to halfway.
As Michael Francis came in for the big hit on Kyle White, looking for the square up, didn't come off.
Willis, siren's gone. Loose ball, Georgalis, what'll he do with it? Just says, I've had enough of this, we've got the game won. And White take one more tackle. 34 points to 20 in favour of the Magpies after South's led 14 points to 12 at half-time. Second half, avalanche to West's, scoring 3 tries in 8 minutes early in the second half to turn the game right on its head. And you'd have to say South must be disappointed with that second half performance. On the other hand, West put their 7th win on the board, and they are marching strongly in 1995 Western Suburbs, right up there towards the top of the ladder, just in that second rung behind the teams who have been virtually undefeated or totally undefeated. And Western Suburbs winners by 34 points to 20 here at the Sydney Football Stadium.
Well, a killer period just after half-time. They scored 3 tries in 12 minutes. And Debbie Spillane down there on the sideline with the English import, Lee Jackson.
I've thought things were a little bit different to what you saw last Saturday night, at least in the first half.
Yeah, well, we're playing in spells at the moment. No, we're going good for 10, and we've got to drop on the ball or miss tackling, and teams are capitalising on that and scoring tries.
Do you feel as if there's some room for improvement when you sort of get a little more control around the rucks?
Yeah, of course there is. No, even if you win this game, for improvement. No, we've just got to keep going. I think we're playing particularly well in, like I say, in 10-15 minute spells. But we've got to stick in there and just not give up.
Any particular positive come out of the game for you today? Anything that you sort of found in the team that you're happy with?
I think we played a bit better than we did last week. Obviously not played sitting from the sideline. I think we played a bit better, and like I say, there's room for improvement.
And yourself, how long a break did you have before you came into this game?
I've been off for 6 weeks. I'm a bit rusty, but I'm getting nice. It's me on fitness at the moment, but it's coming all together.
So it mightn't be puffing as much in a few more weeks?
Yeah, you call it your winter, but boy, it's bringing hot outside.
Okay, nice to talk to you, Lee. Hope you settle in well.
Cheers.
Pretty well today, and now over to Johnny Peard, and he's got Steve Georgalis with him.
Yeah, good, Steve. What do you think today, Steve? A bit slow to get going, but how did you read it?
Yeah, I read it the same way, Johnny. Very scrappy at the start. After watching last night's game, we should have learned from that. We knew South had come out firing after being flogged, the week or 2 weeks before, and we started really slow. There was no enthusiasm or nothing. Then, we thought we'd just go out, play the game, but as you know from last night, it's not like that. Every game's hard, and to our credit in the second half, we fixed up our defence, and that probably won us.
Well, Tommy's your coach, and he was an old halfback. Has he had what sort of impression has he had on you? Not as a coach so much, but with halfback play.
Yeah, he's had an impression where I've always had the talent to play half, but always probably lacked the organisational skills. And but with Tommy there, he's been helping me with that, and every week that I play half, my target's to play better than the other half, and you can't do any better than that. And hopefully, that's what I'll do every week.
Well, you've got a proud father, and it must be very important to get him away from the races, old Georgie. He told me today to back number 9 in race 5, so I'll see how that goes in the paper tomorrow. But your dad, you got him away from the races. You must be going well.
No, I didn't get him away from the races. I got him here, but there's a tab here, so he's probably up there.
Yeah.
So no, I probably didn't get him away from the races.
All right, well, you're going very well, and good luck for the rest of the season, Steve.
Thanks a lot, John.
He certainly is playing very well. That's the final story of the day. It certainly doesn't tell the whole story of the 80 minutes, though. For South, 3 tries. Quinn, Corcoran and Ryan. Willett kicking 4 from 5. For West, Leeds got 2. McGuinness, Horrow, Grief and Willis all got tries. Plenty of them in the end, and Leeds kicking 5 from 6. West racking up 34 points to South's 20. But 14-12 at half-time with South's ahead. We'll be back in a few minutes with the league lens from Jason Sinclair, Jacko's man of the match, and all the news from the dressing rooms. Here's Karen Tighe. The Tom Rodonicus won the Rothmans medal. That in itself is amazing, with West back in 1972. Now, usually at half-time, we have our league lens where we give a handicap to one of the players. No instructions except to go out there and put on the tape whatever they like. This week we gave it to Jason Sinclair, who unfortunately missed today's game through injury. But here's what he came up with.
Make our way out to my mother.
Yeah, the house is a...
How's my mum? It's a birthday. Come on, Mum. Give us a few words. How good was I when you were bringing me out? I was a good kid, was I?
Oh, you were a wonderful baby.
So what was I like as a kid, Dad?
Well, if you didn't take up rugby league, you would have been a synchronised swimmer.
Thank you. What's it like having a brother playing first grade? People driving you mad because sort of a superstar and that? Here they come, here's the big one. Big Daney boy.
What are you doing?
Not doing anything. There's Kez. A little Jakey boy. Dane, who's your favourite footy team?
David Pinner.
No, not your favourite player, your Wally. Your favourite team, the Bunnies?
The Panthers.
Boo.
The Panthers in the South. About time I said South, eh?
Hey, here's a smile, brother. Here's a smile. You going to play football or basketball or golf?
Basketball, good idea.
Good idea. Here we are, out for dinner at Joe's Italian Restaurant. Joe, say hello to the camera. How are you, mate? Good? Nice chicken schnitzel. This is just one of the many things I do around the house. Your daddy's telling fibs.
different side of Jason Sinclair at home with the Sinclairs. Jacko, who was your man of the match today, the Jacko's judgment?
Well, I thought there was a number of outstanding players. Obviously, Craig Field, but I had to give it to Paul Langmack, a veteran captain of the Magpies side. I think he gave the last pass for 4 of their tries. He was in everything good for them today. Defended well, apart from that one little aberration at the start. And Paul Langmack is Jacko's judgment, and I think he's downstairs with Debbie Spillane.
Oops, that went to you. Paul Langmack, you'd just been telling me, despite getting Jacko's Judgment Award today, you were nearly not going to play with a virus.
Yeah, I've been pretty cooked the last couple of days, but it was a must-win game, and we played pretty bad today, and luckily we won, so hopefully we can rectify what went wrong today in our following game.
Was it perhaps a case of undervaluing the opposition early in the game?
Yes, I think so. We didn't have the intensity of past weeks, and you know, football, if you're not on your game, you're not going to win, and Parramatta proved that last night, and Southland proved it today.
Laid on a couple of good passes for tries today, especially the one with where Grief was running behind you. Is that a rehearsed move, that one?
No, it's an old Western Suburbs move. Tom Adonicus teaches me before training between beers.
And they were arguing about what would you call it. Someone suggested an off-the-shoulder ball. That sounds a bit like a ball gown, or an off-the-hip ball. Have you got a name for it?
Oh, I don't know. We just play football, Debbie. We can't give away secrets anyway.
Okay, and also I heard some good news in your family this week. You're going to become a dad for the first time.
Yeah, going to be a dad for the first time. Just hopefully it'll look like my wife, the child, because if he looks like me or she's going to have a hard time.
Well, if it talks like you, it'll be going all right. It'll talk early.
Yeah, thank you.
I've got a ball here. You probably know the drill here. It's of your Man of the Match award. Do you get it to dedicate it to or sign it? We'll give it to a junior club on your behalf.
Junior school or junior club?
A school or a club, whatever.
Well, my business is in Menai. I have an Empire Road pantry at Menai, and
sorry, no plugs on the ABC.
No, my God. I have to give it to Bangor Public School because the other schools are fairly well off. The private schools in the area. Sorry, only a joke, but Bangor Public School will get the football.
Okay, congratulations, Paul. Thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, he played very well today, and I guess who else? Glenn Grief, Justin Dooley, Andrew Willis played pretty well.
Yeah, I thought George Arliss had a good game as well. So there's a lot of good performers out there for West. For South, I suppose Craig Field once again was their standout. I thought Lee Jackson did some good things, but unfortunately...
Tommy, good feeling. What a great feeling in the club for you.
But, you know, there's a lot of people behind the scenes, and the big thing, we're starting to get our supporters back, and we're starting to get a decent crowds out there at Campbelltown, so it's really wonderful. I'm very happy.
I noticed the executive role now, the pen clipped into the top of the shirt, the clipboard. Have you gone to the clipboard yet as coach?
No, I only got a little bit of paper, so I haven't got to a clipboard yet. And, well, we don't need those type of things.
Let's take you through all the highlights of yesterday. A terrific comeback by the Magpies, but South Sydney got away to a good start against you in the end. A big scoreline with Leeds getting a double, and Willis, McGuinness, Horrow and Grief, who has been one of your best players this season. 34-20, but well and truly behind the 8-ball early.
Yeah, we're pretty scrappy, Graham, to start with, and we're a bit rusty. Like having that week off, myself and Wayne Ellis, we were worried all week that they might catch us napping, and I think we've seen that on Friday night with Parramatta and Canterbury. But, you know, so that was a good try by McGuinness, and good work by Andrew Leeds before that. You know, but we stuck to our guns, and I had to sort of shake them up a little bit at half-time, but they come out in the second half and, you know, sealed it within 15 minutes.
Some pretty good individual skills being thrown through the game, sidesteps as we've just seen there, and just pure speed. So that in itself is really a great thing. But Langmack's ball-playing skills that have been around for years and years, from the days when he's at Canterbury, of course, have probably come to the fore this year more than they have the last couple of years, and they must really be a big bonus for you at the moment.
Yeah, well, see, we've been really working on our skills, as you can see here, and great try there by Grief, you know, set up by Langmack. You know, but we're working on our skills, and you know, they're paying off. The little bloke there, you know, George Arliss, yeah. Nice tackle.
Tom, it seems to me, I know that was an unfortunate incident, and obviously we don't want to prejudge it, but
why did he choose one bloke to get sent off there, Roy? Both of them used the same grip.
I understand that. I believe that the second one was almost as culpable as the one who was sent off. Tom, it looked to me as though even, you know, you had a pretty good tactic there at work to hit them in the centres, to exploit the inexperience of the lock playing out in the backs.
Yeah, you know, after the game, you know, sort of finished, you know, we probably could have attacked them out there a little bit more, but in the second half, you know, they listened to the instructions and they went on to win the game. So, So, you know, all them young blokes out there, you know, they're listening and things like that, and, you know, we're sort of just getting the results.
Tommy, you mentioned Friday night, and I certainly don't want Super League to steal any headlines from Parramatta, who played exceptionally well on Friday night to get away from Canterbury Bankstown, and a great lead of 16 points to nothing at one stage. Fawcett got a double, Howlett, Lawler. David Woods, I thought, was outstanding. And a big turnaround. You get beat by 50 points, Tommy, and then you win the next weekend against one of the teams noted up in the top of the ladder.
You know, it sort of comes back to commitment, I suppose, and these blokes just had a go on Friday night, and we see Woods here set up a beautiful try, but I think that's, you know, they were more determined, and maybe, you know, Canterbury are in a bit of disarray.
Well, Graham, this is where there's going to be a real headline. Already the rumours started. Jared McCracken missing a tackle there where, well, it almost looked like he, I don't know, he had a sore shoulder or sore arm or something, and didn't extend it to try and stop the tackle. The rumours have started already that the problem was on, that the tackle wasn't made, and of course he ended up leaving the dressing room after half-time, not waiting around for the game when replaced. But it really was. By the way,
Canterbury did check with the club doctor. He apparently told staff that he injured an ankle. The club doctor said that he was fine to go back and sit on the bench in the second half, so that's even more drama.
Listen, Tommy's not only a great coach, but he's a great singer too. Did you see him with Paul Langmack? Dean Martin.
Yeah, it was actually funny that, and when I got the sledgehammer, I got a bit carried away, and that has sort of
Tommy,
pulled me up.
It must be good to get the pat on the back about the way you're coaching this year, but doesn't it give it to you when one bloke steals all the headlines from you, saying that he taught you how to coach?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
This crocodile, every week he says, I taught Tommy that, Tommy knows that from me.
Wally, there's one bloke who's really given me who's given me a big hand, and we work together. We're a team as Wayne Ellis. He's had a lot to do. He's been a great help to me. He's been tremendous.
Okay. Thanks for putting it in about Wayne Ellis. Thanks for your time this morning. You've got a real shot at the top 8 in a good year for you.
Oh, we've got a, you know, we're a hope.
All right. Please thank Tommy Rabbitohs for coming.
Defeated was great.
All right, Wayne, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Good luck next week after the weekend off.
Thank you very much.
Wayne Collins from Brisbane there. Let's go straight down to the dressing rooms. Ken Shine.
Ken, you must have felt as if you were doing all the right things for most of that game, and then it was suddenly horrible.
Absolutely, yeah. We've trained good all week. I mean, Lee Jackson arriving has been good for us, and we had a few changes. The preparation was excellent, and we certainly played accordingly until about, you know, probably 38 minutes of the first half was excellent, and then we just lost our way the last 2 minutes, and then the next 7 or 8 minutes of the second half.
Is that a problem that's been happening a bit for the club this year?
Well, yeah, it has been. Probably more disappointed today, considering the fact that we did play very well in the first half. I thought that's as good as we've looked all year, and it was a little bit disappointing, yeah.
Do you read that as a concentration problem, perhaps, or?
Well, yeah, probably. It's you know, I've never used this reason much before, but you know, with a few young blokes, they do tend to lose concentration at times, and that probably was really costly for us today.
A big positive out of the game must have been the performance of Lee Jackson, considering he hasn't played with the side before. He looked pretty much in control. Yeah, well, he's a class player, and it certainly did the young fellas good to have him out there, because that's why they played so well. He just gave them a terrific amount of direction, and I think that's why we did play some really good football in the first half. A bit of speculation with our commentators that he looks like the kind of guy that might be in the running for the captaincy eventually. Would you like to comment on that at this point? Or?
Oh, well, we won't load him up too much, you know. No doubt he could handle that, but, you know, I think Craig Field certainly, you know, is, you know, he's in line for it too, because, you know, I thought his performance today was outstanding as well. So, you know, we'll cross that bridge when we have to.
Okay, thanks very much for talking to us, Ken. Back to you, Warren.
Yes, thanks, Ken Shines. Thanks, Debbie. And let's go straight over to West dressing room. Tommy Rabbitohs.
Well, Tom, how'd you view today's game? A bit scratchy to kick off?
Yeah, we're very scratchy, but, you know, you can put that down to the week's break, I feel, anyway. And we knew that, and we knew that South had come out pretty strong after they got a shellacking the week before. But, you know, we really talked about it, and that at half-time you sort of just recharged the batteries a bit and come away and we got the money.
Was there ever a stage early in the game when they skipped away that you thought it might get out of reach?
No, I didn't. I honestly believe that our guys were good enough to come back and to win reasonably well.
We'd be very pleased with some of your players' form. It's been tremendous. Yeah. They must be on the verge of rep football, some of them.
There'd be a lot of them, you know. You take even Steve George asked me halfback, you know, he works his backside off, and like Langmack played with the flu and another bloke getting over the measles playing. And and blokes like Kenny McGuinness and Glennie Grief absolutely destroyed them today. So we've got some good young kids there. But today was nothing to get excited about, but we won.
Well, Peter Jackson says it's a happy club. You going to smile for us?
Oh, hello, Peter. How are you, mate? Yeah, I'm smiling, mate. Yeah.
Warren.
I'm very happy.
I know. Well, he's got his teeth in. That's a start anyway. West, by the way, have now won 2 in a row. Next week they've got the Gold Coast. Will Tommy ever have to shave their head? Will they win 3 in a row? They haven't done it yet. There's the table. Manly on top, playing very good football this year. Manly on 20 points. Newcastle and Brisbane and Canberra all on 18. Those 4 teams have the jump on Wests. From Cronulla, the Roosters and the Bulldogs all on 12 points. That's where the real action is. Norths have dropped back, of course, with Penrith on 8 and the Dragons at Auckland. Tigers, Reds. Down the bottom, Illawarra, Crushers, Parramatta, Gold Coast, Souths, Cowboys. One game to come this weekend.
Yes, Penrith and the Gold Coast out at Penrith tomorrow. I think I've got to stick with the Panthers, Brian. What do you think?
Well, without Singh and Fittler in the Panthers side, I actually give the Gold Coast a real chance because they've got a pretty fair side. Broncos in there. They look pretty good on paper and they played all right against the Tigers.
And, of course, Wednesday night we have the State of Origin, the big one, State of Origin 2, down at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Interesting to see what sort of crowd we'll get. I believe the ticket sales are pretty much in line with last year.
And you're tipping the Blues.
Oh, yeah, good. If I tip the Blues, I might as well jump off the grandstand right now. I'm tipping the Maroons to tie it all up in Melbourne.
Next week, it's the Roosters versus St George. The Roosters here. This is at the SFS. The Dragons last week handed out their 50-point thrashing to Parramatta. Parramatta beat the Bulldogs. I don't know what to make of the results, but it should be a pretty good one next week.
Looking forward to it next week.
Bye now.
Still to come on Saturday afternoon sport, we meet more of our up-and-coming talent in school sports, and in basketball, Adelaide and Canberra do battle in the Women's National League. School sports and basketball coming up shortly, plus a wrap of today's AFL. In a moment, a detailed look at the rest of the day in sport with Steve Rebillard, but first it's time.
You could win $5,000 and a special Toyota cricket kit with a signed Mark Waugh cricket bat. Call 0055 60289 now and give us your name suggestion and you can become part of Australian cricket history.
It's a lovely day today, and whatever you've got to do, it would be lovely to be doing it with you.
Everything we do at Fisher & Paykel is designed to give you time to do the things you'd rather do.
There's nothing more to say, except it's a lovely day for saying it's a lovely day.
Whichever way you look at it, our new 3D t-shirt has to be seen to be believed. The most unbelievable thing about it is that it's free, but for a limited time only. So hurry and see Twisties packs for details.
Now just because you wear lipstick doesn't mean he has to.
Revlon creates new Color Stay, color that stays on your lips all day.
And won't kiss off on him.
Revlon Color Stay, color that sets in 60 seconds for all-day wear.
Because a woman should always make her mark, but not with her lipstick.
Revolutionary Color Stay lip color.
Revlon.